topic I don't usually cover, but I think it's important to cover it because it's something that happens. Well, part of it happens definitely to everybody at some point, and the other part happens to a lot of people. Maybe even the majority. I'm not sure, but in varying degrees. And what I'm talking about, of course, is what the title of the video is loss and depression. Right? People experience loss in all kinds of different ways throughout the course of their life, obviously. Right? We lose family members, we lose friends, we lose coworkers, we lose pets, and we lose all kinds of connections, we lose opportunity, we lose wealth, we lose flexibility, we lose ability, we lose coordination, we lose sight, we lose hearing, we lose taste, we lose, you know, sense, touch. We lose all kinds of things over time. It's not just the big things, right? We lose smell. I know that sounds crazy, but for example, there was a period of time when I lost my sense of smell temporarily. Uh, and even sense of taste. And it started months before the thing that happened in 2020 that changed the world, when a lot of people reported not having those senses after getting that condition. And that was one of the known conditions, is that you lose your sense of taste and smell. I had that happen to me months and months before that whole thing happened, and the doctors could not explain it. And I asked them, because, I thought maybe I caught it early or something, and I asked doctors some months after that happened to me, it started happening, could it be from that? And they were like, no, because you got it when there were no known cases of it anywhere, and it wouldn't make sense. But it was like in the month, like a few months before, so who knows? But as far as I know, random coincidence. Temporary, like for years, I lost my sense of smell and sense of taste, and eventually it returned. And I would say it's still not 100% as what it used to be when I was before that time, but it's much better, much better, almost completely back to normal. Um, but we lose more important things than our sense of touch or our sense of smell and our sense of taste, right? And yes, physical stuff, vision, what an incredibly important sense that is. Hearing, what an incredibly important sense that is, right? Touch is also very important, actually. I would say probably more important than taste or smell in many cases, or in most cases, because the sense of the human touch, the ability to feel yourself or to touch something and to feel it, is a very important human sense. It has a lot to do with our sense of happiness, actually, right? To what degree are we happy or not happy? It has a lot to do with our sense of touch, actually, just as our sense of vision and our sense of hearing does. Why? Because psychologically, these are very powerful senses. What you see, what you hear, what you feel. Right? Those are, in many ways, kind of almost the most powerful day-to-day things you notice the most about your senses. Yes, of course, taste is super important. Smell is also important. But those three. And then, of course, there's other things, like I mentioned, right? If you lose a family member or a pet or a friend or a colleague, or maybe even an old nemesis of yours passed away, and over time you stop being really hard nemesis, but you kind of, you might never have been friends, but still, when you hear the news that an old nemesis, an old rival is gone, You might sense a loss over this and have a sense of loss over that too. That happens too. Right? Many things we sense a lot. Maybe you lost a business, maybe you lost a home in a fire or a flood or an earthquake or a tornado or in a gambling bet that you made. Who knows, right? These things happen. People go to casinos and literally bet the house or bet the farm rather foolishly, and then they tend to lose it because they don't know probabilities and they're just willing to gamble and not manage their risk very well. Loss is a very important thing to understand and to comprehend properly, because it really can lead to depression for many years in some cases. And when things happen to a person, the old saying, when it rains, it pours, right? What's it say? Hello, I'm watching from North Korea. Really? Are you for real? If we are, hello, and welcome. Hello to North Korea. But sorry, I have a bit of a hard time believing somebody in North Korea is on YouTube. I know there's people who've gone to North Korea and made videos about North Korea, and then they show it when they come out of North Korea. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody in North Korea. Well, maybe. I guess if you are elite enough, you maybe have access to the actual internet as opposed to the North Korean internet. Hello there. Anyway, wherever you're from, hello. But yeah, like, imagine yourself, for example, having one bad thing after another happen to you, where you literally, legitimately are never at fault. Just bad things happen. Bad luck, constant bad luck. There are people who suffer unimaginable amounts of bad luck, like on an ongoing basis. It happens. And it could be that they lost some people, one after the other. It could be that they got into, accidents or lost their jobs or any combination, right? Lost their homes, lost whatever, right? Some kind of loss. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. And back here. Since you only make money if I like and subscribe, that means I'm your boss. I don't make money if you like and subscribe my video. And no, you're not my boss. My channel is not monetized. Okay? Feel free to like and subscribe. Appreciate it if you do. But my channel is not monetized. There's barely any I barely have any subscribers. How could it be monetized? I only have a few, like 100 subscribers. Not even. I think I have what do I have, like 100 subscribers maybe? I don't even know. I never look at that. It's if I reach some number, yay. My channel is not monetized. The things I say in my videos, I say them to say them because partly it's to share the things I've learned over the decades. Partly it's to tell you ideas that I'm working on. Sometimes I give you guys sneak peeks on what I'm working on. Yeah, that's the majority of the reason that I do these videos on my channel. It's to share my marketing insights, my knowledge about blockchain, knowledge about trading, and knowledge about current affairs, whatever they might be, political stuff, but mostly non-political. Try to be. In recent times, it's been getting a little bit more political, but not very much, and will probably subside again, hopefully sooner rather than later. But yeah, like, loss and depression are very serious issues and should not be treated lightly. And people should be aware of how serious it is. and not ever just presume that just because a person has suffered through some kind of loss or depression, that's just the one thing they got to work on. It's not always the one thing that people have to work on. In fact, sometimes people bounce right back from that stuff, but have other issues that are keeping them psychologically in a state that's not conducive to being their quote unquote best self. Right? Or they might have multiple compound issues where, if you suffered multiple car accidents or boat accidents or bike accidents or a bike accident, a boat accident, a car accident, an airplane accident, who knows, a tank accident, 1 + 1 does not equal 2 in that scenario. Those are compound, and they're actually exponential. Because if you are still injured from a previous accident, and then you have another one, it's, and it affects in some ways the same areas, it doesn't just add arithmetically, right? It's a geometric addition. It's an exponential addition, and that can make the resolution a lot longer to process. It can take years, if not decades, if not your entire life. As in, you'll never get over that. And this happens to a non-zero amount of people. And when it does, those are the people that really should get help from other people. And when I say get help, I don't mean that in any stigmatic way. I mean, those are the people for whom friends and family, or if they don't have any friends and family, the system, whatever system they live in, should be on the lookout for, and should have an open door and an open heart to warmly receive them if they ever ask for help, or to offer it kindly if they notice it. If they notice that the person or the people need help. All too often, people live in systems where we presume that people have a support network, but not everybody has a support network. Right? Some people just have to make it on their own, and that's all they got. Like, you don't have an extended family. You don't have a lot of friends nearby. You don't have whatever it might be. Right? Some people have very limited support networks. Some people have none whatsoever at all. What are they supposed to do when times get tough? Right? If the system they live in doesn't have institutional mechanisms in place to actually help people and not attempt to make their life harder, which all too often is what the systems do, is they make people's lives harder unnecessarily, then those systems actually will cause more grief and pain and agony in the victim of the loss. Well, the living victim of the loss. If there's, if there are any deaths involved, obviously whoever died may or may not be a victim, but is certainly dearly departed to somebody, usually. So why am I talking about this on a channel where I normally talk about trading and marketing and kind of happy things? Well, I also talk about loss in trading. This also impacts people who trade. If you trade and you suffer these other losses that may or may not even be related to trading, maybe just other losses that you suffered, it can be very difficult to move your way forward as a trader, because trading is all about managing your risk. When you're managing your risk, it means you're putting yourself in risk. And if you're putting yourself in risk, you're technically, potentially risking things, if you don't do it well, that you might not be able to afford losing. And at the same time, if you don't put yourself at risk, you might end up in a much worse situation than you're in currently. So sometimes you need to put yourself in that kind of a risk, right? And be slightly uncomfortable. But that does not mean that if you're a trader, you should take unnecessary risks and uneducated risks and gambling type of risks, right? If anything, you should be making smart risks only, educated risks, where you can justify the kind of risks you're taking as wise or intelligent if you're a trader, right? For example, not using too much leverage, getting in a trade. Anytime you get into a trade, you're in a risk. You're in a risk that the trade is going to go against you, right? And you're going to lose some money, or you're going to lose some of the profit you already made since you entered the trade and it went into profit land. And then you're going to risk some of that profit if you don't realize it, maybe all of it, right? Maybe more than all of it. And this can lead to depression, right? If you lose too many trades and you start losing capital that you can't afford to lose, it can cause severe depression. It can cause severe problems in your head. And this is very often caused by the pressures of the outside world happening very quickly, or eating up your time and not having enough time to do the things you need to do as a trader, for example. Not having the time to think properly and act properly, not having the time to learn properly and do the correct thing, which is to take profits early and often, limit your loss, and don't be emotionally attached to your trades. But again, these are the wages of life in some way, right? Some would say the wages of war, but they're the wages of life, is loss and depression for the things we get sad about when we lose things, especially if we lose them frequently, or if we lose many things in a short period of time, and things that mean something to us. Again, why am I talking about this? Is it to get you guys down and out thinking about sad things? No. It's to make you appreciate, first of all, if you have good mental health and good health and good well-being, right? If you haven't suffered tremendous loss, right, do what you can to maintain the happy-go-lucky, wonderful life you have, but realize we all have to be prepared at some point that the probability is significant that we will experience some kind of loss in life, right? Personally, I don't know anyone that's never suffered any loss. I know plenty of happy-go-lucky people where you think that they've never suffered, but at some point they all do. I've never met anybody who's lived a quote-unquote full life who's never experienced loss of any kind. It just doesn't happen, right? Because the probability is just not there, right? That you will have an entire life without suffering. It's not really statistically possible. Now, could it, yes, in theory, anything can happen, right? But in reality, the probability is much greater that a human will experience loss rather than will not. And that's why it's incredibly important to be aware, for your friends' sakes and for your family's sake, if people are suffering around you, if you see it, to take notice and to extend a helping hand and to offer help without condition. To offer real help, as a friend would, or as a family member who loves their family would. Anyway, that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Right? I wish you all happy times, good days, and wellness. And yeah, lots of wins and optimism and success. That's it for now. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.